Now, Uncharted and the Last of Us series in the Naughty Dog games think should be interactive movies genre and not video games. In my view, I think we need to do something before video games blends with movies. Point of a game is it's supposed to have rules. Example is in a board game called Ludo. You move bricks around till you get to the goal, and in order to release the bricks, you have to get 6 on dice. That's a rule, that's how you solve it. In chess, you have certain bricks that do some functions. The point is to get the king or get a checkmate. You win either way if you get checkmate, so I guess that's all you need to do. The point of these games is they both have different rules on how to beat a game. What Uncharted or Last of Us don't have are rules to play a game. It's basically run upwards for 50 minutes and you have little interactive buttons to click when certain things are supposed to happen, and you move forward for 50 minutes again. And then there are segments of 5-minute action. That's a game. That should not qualify as video games. That's movie games. I will also put visual novels in there too. But to save video games from becoming movie games or confused with those, we need to make this a thing so people won't get wrong idea of what video games are meant to be. I am somewhat tempted of putting Kirby video game in there too, since you basically just fly from left to right and win the game. But some may qualify that as more handicap than a movie game, so you can make some exceptions for that though, because it has rules. It's just not a very good way to make a game, I guess. So that's it. And I also made this image. If Last of Us or Uncharted was a board game, basically, to be more fair though, it will be like this if you just move your brick for 50 minutes upwards with nothing else, and then you have obstacles for 5 minutes. Like, to me, that should not be called a game. A game is supposed to have rules, thought put into it, like certain clues, certain puzzles on how to beat this or solve this. Like, a game is meant to have rules and such. Um, and I think some people may also confuse certain games for that. For example, Metal Gear Solid series or Heavy Rain. Those have heavy story elements, but they are not movie games. Because in Metal Gear Solid, after the cutscene, you have stuff to do. Like, you can freeze a guard, you can figure out where to go. You have to basically find out, okay, where am I going to do now? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Where do I go? Like, you have to think a little bit to figure out how to solve this difficulty or places where you are supposed to go. So so Metal Gear Solid has some very heavy story elements, but it's not a movie game because it follows the rule of that of a video game, so it's a video game. And Heavy Rain, for example, that also has heavy story elements, but also in that game you actually have puzzles to do. You have to like think, okay, what do I do now? Where do I go? How do I figure out this case? Like, it still follows the rules of a game because you have to actually use your head a little bit to understand what you're supposed to do. So that too also falls in the element of video games. So that's just to make it clear about some certain difference in case you are a little bit confused about it. And if Square Enix, or maybe it's Wikipedia page, but on the Wikipedia page it has a list of interactive movies, and Life is Strange 2 is put there. I haven't played that game, but I at least respect Square Enix, or the page at least, for qualifying it as such. Like, Naughty Dog, I think, should do that and not just. I think this should be a thing in gaming world in general, because I fear that if we don't do this soon, then video games are gonna be confused for this interactive crap, and people are gonna assume that video games are nothing but interactive movies. And we have to distinguish it that video games should not play like a movie. It should neglect the gameplay. If they do that, then it should not be labeled a video game. It should just be labeled an interactive movie. If that's the case, then I don't think it should be really called a video game in a sense. And I like Dragon's Lair and such, but I also understand why some may label that interactive movies, because you press a button at the right time just to see what happens. So I can understand that. But I like the game though. So if you like it, that's also okay. But I also hate when stuff gets so popularized in the video game world that they don't really qualify as video games in a sense. So that's just my issue with it. So yeah, yeah, but I got kind of either way on a subjective level. I lost interest for Naughty Dog games after Jack and Dexter because they kind of made more story focused teen movie games, I guess, or a really Hollywood action. I'm no, I'm doing a mistake. My bad. Interactive movies, I meant, with the Uncharted and Last of Us. So it's not my type of game, but maybe it's for another generation. So there's that though. But point is, I want it to be in the right genre. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think they should be called adventure action game or action adventure game. I think that's a wrong label. It should just be called action adventure interactive movie. That's more the right label on it. Just to use an example on the games that Naughty Dog did with PS3 and PS4 games. So that's just my opinion on it. Feel free to share your opinions on this. So bye.